Really, really good mushroom soup. Holy crap. Whoa. This is all I want to eat. Hey, I'm Paula. This is How to Make Dinner. Today we're doing something a little different. We are making a recipe from somebody else's blog. It's a really cool one called The Modern Proper. And they've got this Hungarian mushroom soup that came across my feed yesterday, and I was like, damn, I'm making that. So I made it. I'm gonna make it here today and show you how to do it. And I hope you follow along because it's really good. It's super rainy and kind of cloudy and gray outside. So I'm feeling real cozy, and I just wanna curl up with a bowl of really cozy ass soup, like mushroom soup. So this recipe is called Hungarian mushroom soup from the Modern Proper blog. And I'll link to their blog in my description. And I'm just gonna make it. I've never made it before. I'm gonna follow the recipe the way I think most recipes should be followed, which is with a grain of salt. I'm not a big recipe follower in general, but when I do use recipes, I like to kind of use my own judgment alongside them, so it's not just like blind faith. So I'm just slicing some mushrooms here. These are regular cremini mushrooms, which are basically just the same as button mushrooms. You don't need a fancy mushroom here. Although I do have some fancy mushrooms that would probably be good to add to beef this up, but I'm just gonna go with what they ask for, which is button or cremini mushrooms. And I'm just slicing them all up. This is a pound. So this recipe calls for 2 cups of chopped onions, which, you know, I'm a little hesitant about because I don't usually like cups, but I can handle it, so I'm gonna do it. And I would probably say that 2 cups, I'm guessing, is the equivalent of 2 medium-sized onions. So let's see if my calculations are correct. This is a teary-eyed onion. I have bad luck for getting the strongest onions on this show. I don't know if you remember the onion dicing tutorial video I did a while back. I was like bawling. So we'll get through it. I was bawling last night too, but it wasn't because of an onion. It was because my video failed. Because I'm not very good at technology, apparently. But that's another story. Oh God. This is a situation. Oh man, we don't even need, we probably only need like 1.5. I'm using a wet measuring cup because I don't have the other kind. I actually don't have cup measures, like dry measuring cups. The kind that you scoop flour with. I mean, I do have a couple, but they're just crappy ones that I use to scoop flour. I don't use them for measuring because I use a scale for that because I'm a scale. Do I look like an absolute maniac right now?
No.
Seriously? I think I might need to go clean up my face in a second here. So anyway, I don't use cup measures for baking, like ever. I try and always find recipes that use weights. And all my recipes are in weights. And then I add cups for the people who don't have scales. But get a scale, seriously, it's the best. I used it to weigh out my 1 pound of mushrooms, which was also in the recipe. Anyway, enough ranting, more coffee. And just quickly check my face, hang on. Okay, so next step is get the onions in. We haven't even started yet. So in a heavy pot or Dutch oven, I have my recipe, by the way, on my little iPad here from their blog. Okay, heavy pot or Dutch oven, I've got that. Saute onions and mushrooms in butter over medium heat. So I'll fire this onto medium. About 15 minutes. Onions and mushrooms together. Okay, so that's why it takes so long, because mushrooms are full of water, so you need a full 15 minutes to really get some browning on there. And butter, it says 4 tablespoons. I'm not gonna measure it exactly, I'm just gonna guesstimate. 1, 2, that's like 2, and then 3, 4. I'm going crazy with mushrooms today. I'm also making mushroom risotto later, so I need to save some of this butter. That's what I'm using my fancy mushrooms for. So the butter's melting and sizzling. I'm gonna dump the onions in. I hope this pot is big enough. And it says mushrooms and onions at the same time, so I'm just gonna do that. And I'm gonna saute them for 15 minutes. And we wait. Okay, so we're back. It's been about 15 minutes. And these mushrooms and onions, a lot of water came out at first, which is what you'd expect. So it was kind of like really soupy. But now in the last couple minutes, it's really started to reduce down, and I'm starting to get quite a bit of brown sticky bits on the bottom that I'm scraping back up into the mushrooms. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. So next up, I'm gonna add the herbs and spices, I guess. Paprika's a spice, right? One of the things I appreciate about this recipe that I just noticed was they've consolidated it all into 2 steps. So it means that on an iPad, you don't have to scroll all over the place to get the full thing. It's kind of like squished into one little frame, which I really like. So it says 2 teaspoons of fresh thyme. I won't ever probably measure fresh herbs in like a measuring spoon. Just can't really do it, but I'm gonna eyeball it. And I'm gonna say that that's probably about right, because I don't wanna go back outside and go get more thyme. Because it's raining out. And it's very convenient to have it in my yard, but I still don't wanna go out there. So that's what it's gonna get. I'll give it a quick mini chop to make sure we're getting as many oils and flavors out as we can. And chuck it in. Use my handy scraper here. So thyme, and then it's 2 teaspoons of dried dill. So I'm using a regular teaspoon and just kind of going from there. And 2 teaspoons of paprika. I kind of love paprika and I barely ever use it. I feel like one of my goals for the next little while is going to be to use more paprika in cooking. Because it's just so lovely and it makes everything feel really cozy. That like Hungarian vibe, like goulashy kind of feeling. Okay, so I got a lot of browning on the bottom now, so I'm excited to add my liquid, which is 2 cups of, it calls for chicken stock, but I actually only had beef stock handy, so I'm using that. Hope that's okay, guys. And so it's gonna change the color for sure. It's gonna be a bit more of a beefy looking soup. But I think that's kind of probably okay. I'm into it. And then half a cup of white wine, which again, I wouldn't normally measure, but since I have a measuring jug ready to go here, I might as well use it. And I'm not gonna be shy. This is a fairly cheap dry white wine going in. Ooh, that looks good. And what else? Dill, thyme, paprika, chicken broth, soy sauce, and white wine. So soy sauce, that's gonna add a nice little salty kind of umami thing. I don't usually like saying the word umami, but whatever. I'm a bit worried about the soy sauce because I think that the beef broth that I used was maybe a little touch salty because it was that better than bouillon stuff. Maybe I'll just taste this before I add the soy sauce. This is, it's good, but it can handle this, so I'm going in. These are those little kind of little bits of extra judgment that you kind of have to apply when you're using recipes, because there's so many variables, you know, like chicken broth can be so many things. It could be homemade with no salt. It could be store-bought, like out of the can, that's super salty, or it could be low sodium, whatever. So just use your judgment. Just know that things are salty that aren't salt, like soy sauce. So be careful with stuff like that. And I'm glad that we didn't add any salt at the beginning either, because it's fine with the soy sauce and the stock. Okay, what's next? Bring to a simmer and cook it till the liquid reduces by half. So that's going to be quite a bit. So we're gonna reduce this by half and we'll come back. Okay, so I've been reducing this mushroom soup for about, I'm gonna say about 8 minutes. I don't know if it's exactly half, but it's as reduced as I really feel the need to go. I can already see that it's really thick and hearty, and I'm about to add flour to it. So I feel like it doesn't need to be reduced any more than this. So I'd say 8 minutes on, I kept that same medium heat the whole time. So the next step is to add the milk and flour mixture. So we're doing like a white, my grandma used to call it a whitewash, which is like when you're not making a roux, you're just mixing the flour directly to a liquid. So I'm just gonna use the same measuring jug I used for the stock and everything else. And it's 3 tablespoons of flour, which is just down here. Give me a second. Oh, and I'm so sore. Crouching down. Oh my God. Oh, I did a really hard workout yesterday. It hurts to bend down. Okay, so that's the flour, and then a cup of milk. I have full fat milk. I'm always scared of using anything less than full fat in a soup or something with acidity in it. This has white wine in it, and it's gonna have lemon juice too. So I'm always a bit nervous because you are risking a chance of it splitting. So full fat all the way. Fat helps things to not split, basically, to bind together. So don't use skim milk. Also, just don't use skim milk because, ew, it's like gonna be so gray and watery. That's like adding skim milk to coffee. Just bad idea. Okay, so it's smooth. Whisk until smooth. Add the milk mixture to the soup and cook until it begins to thicken about 10 more minutes. I feel like that's gonna happen way faster than that. So I'm gonna pour it in and stir as I pour. And I feel like it's gonna thicken pretty much as soon as it comes back up to the boil. It's already thickening. But it is a good idea to let it simmer a bit after you add flour, because flour has like a floury taste. So cooking that out a bit is always nice. So we'll just let that go. Okay, so the thickening milky flour mixture has been in there for close to 10 minutes. And the soup is really, really nice and thick now. So the final step is to add the sour cream and lemon juice, which is a 1/4 cup of sour cream. Am I gonna measure this? I don't think I'm gonna. I think I'm just gonna eyeball it. Is that okay? Oh. One of the reasons I don't use recipes is because I don't feel like making a million dirty dishes. And that's often what they call for when they're like, measure, you know, all the things. I don't want to. Okay, so a 1/4 cup of sour cream. 1/4 cup, by the way, is also the equivalent of 4 tablespoons. So I'm just gonna take 4 big heaped spoons and get paprika all in my sour cream. Okay. Ooh, that's nice. And then 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, which I'm not gonna measure. I'm just gonna squeeze it in. I'm gonna say that half a lemon is about 2 tablespoons, so let's go with that. 1, 2. See? Okay, I can use my mini whisk here to help with the sour cream mixing. This is like really hearty. So again, the beef stock makes this extra dark, but I like that because when I'm having something with mushroomy things, I kind of love it when it's really dark brown. Look. Yum. Okay. And garnish with parsley. So I'm just gonna throw in some parsley now, and then I'll save a little bit for the top. And that looks pretty darn good. So let me get a bowl. Okay, before I put it in a bowl, I'm gonna give it a quick taste. This looks really good. Ooh. That is like very intensely flavored. And it's really good. The lemon juice helps to kind of cut the richness as well. And I could totally see having this over like a sauce too, like over some chicken or something. Yum, guys. So that's the Modern Proper's Hungarian mushroom soup. And I'm really happy with it. This is a good mushroom soup. Wow. Delicious. Thanks so much for joining me today. It's been super fun, and I hope you like this mushroom soup as much as I do. I'm definitely going to be making this one again. And I'll put all the information below, like the link to the Modern Proper blog and their Instagram account, which is awesome. Definitely recommend following that if you're into delicious food. And we'll see you next time.